And this is the third and final video for February 25, 2022. We are at the Tallgrass, Prairie, Strong City, Kansas. And that house there is quite an amazing house on the inside. That's kind of the homestead. Inside there, downstairs, there was this spring room, and it had a trough where spring water came in, and that's where they kept their cream and things like that to try and preserve it so they could, keep their stuff from going spoiling. Limestone is what the building product material is, and there's several buildings. There's a smoke room, an ice house, even used limestone to make their outhouse, a carriage house here, chickens, and it's so in 1878, Stephen F. and Louisa Jones came here to build a cattle feeding station for their family Colorado cattle operation. And you can see here why. And this is just beautiful, overlooking the prairie down below here. And then he built this barn. And can you see here there's this ramp that goes up? And he thought this was a little barn. Turned out it was not a little barn. Just give you a quick look at this here, and then we'll tell you some more here. There's a ramp going up one side, another ramp coming out the other. So the horses could go up there, and they'd unload their grain in there. So a little barn on the prairie. The structure originally had a tin roof. 3 stories housed stalls with hay and grain storage. So a team of strong horses and wagons could enter the upper level by one of the ramps. Sorry, I should have turned this the other direction. So it was a large-scale operation for sure. So when we went inside, we found out some more interesting things in here. So, have you ever heard of a horse fly swatter? That was the first thing that was quite amazing here. So we come in here, and hopefully you can see this here. It's called a fly tool for horses. Try and get this all on the screen. There we go. So they would take this and put it on the horses. Or hopefully I put it there long enough that you can read that. But look at this thing. They'd put that on the horses, and it would work to keep the flies away. Who would have thought? They thought. So it's kind of on this frame, just ready to put on a horse. You want to tell them about this?
This carriage was a 1905 carriage. In 1987, they were going to have an auction here at the ranch, and some of the farmhands took it all apart so that it wouldn't sell. And then after the sale was over with, they put it back together so it would stay with the ranch.
So that's pretty clever. I think that's pretty amazing. So if you got something you don't want sold, you take it apart and then you put it back together later. Let's see, it ever seemed like there was something else. Oh yeah, over here. So this is just massive, I think, in here. Back in the 1870s, it's just huge. You can see all this equipment. So you can see the grain chute over here, because the horses would take it up and then they'd drop it into the grain chute. And they even have this auger system. We could even go downstairs, and we saw it down there too. But yeah, processing grain from field storage to market. And we'll just go on 3 here at a time. So yeah, harvesting grain in the field using a tractor, makes sense. Added extra support beams in the barn. And I can just show you that right up there. There's that support beam right there going across. And the bottom one said, back through the doors to dump the grain. I'm getting to the part here which is interesting. Step 4, offload the grain in the grain dump, which is just to the left here. There's electrical switches, so yeah, this was later on when they had electricity. Originally they didn't. The grain auger that runs grain to the storage bins upstairs. Grain bin holds 1,000 bushels, but there you go. Here, interior photo of the 3rd floor grain bin where grain was stored and used or sold, or until sold. 4 of them. And here's what I found interesting. I didn't realize this. That barn cupolas assisted the escape of grain dust to prevent explosion. So that's why they put those things on top. Then there were motors and grain drops assisting in unloading the grain. So when you go to these parks, you find out things that you didn't know before. So it's an educational process. So there's that grain dump right there also. And the narrow rickety steps that we went down right over there. So Tallgrass Prairie, there's lots of hiking trails here, which we are probably not going to do today. It's in the 20s and not likely we'll do any hiking, but the house was pretty interesting, multi-level, and some things like you would expect in a 1800s type of a house. So that's Tallgrass Prairie here in Kansas. So if you're driving by sometime, I'd say it's worth stopping. So farewell for today, and we'll pick it up again tomorrow. Bye-bye.